Now to share with you the objectives and the agenda of this session, may I invite PPSA's Country Director, Ami Chua, for the introduction.
Thank you so much, VJ. Good afternoon, everyone. First of all, please allow me to acknowledge the presence of Undersecretary Evelyn Laviña, or USEC Laviña, who will be presenting today on behalf of the Department of Agriculture, as well as Ma'am Myrna Pablo, Regional Director of the Department of Trade and Industry in Cordillera Administrative Region. So to everyone, good afternoon. Welcome to the fourth installment of our Working Groups Learning Series. This session, as mentioned by VJ, is conducted in partnership with Grow Asia, represented today by Pranav Setaputra, Grow Asia's Partnerships Manager, and of course, our PPSA's Coffee Working Group led by Nestle Philippines through Ms. Ruth Novales, who is also a speaker today. For this session, we are privileged to have a great and exciting lineup of speakers who will share valuable insights on the current situation of the Philippine coffee industry, highlight the initiatives specifically that are implemented with the growth of our coffee farmers in mind, share some challenges, especially those that came out with the pandemic, and the interventions executed to respond to these challenges. As we also have partnerships in other Southeast Asian countries through Grow Asia's network, we also invited the Partnership for Sustainable Agriculture in Vietnam to share how PSAV's public-private partnership model on coffee is supporting the sustainable development of Vietnam's coffee sector. So we hope that the presentations will keep us well informed and of course help us identify the areas where we are good at and the areas where we need more collaborative efforts. Our ultimate goal for this session is to discover ways on how we can work better together to create an agricultural landscape that looks out for the growth of our smallholder coffee farmers. As we always say, also in the previous sessions, your inputs to the discussions are of utmost value to us as we craft or design further knowledge exchange activities, sectoral efforts, and inclusive agricultural projects to hopefully be initiated by the Coffee Working Group. With that said, I hope you already have your cups of coffee and your notepads as we will have a rich session today. Again, many thanks for devoting your afternoon for this session. We hope that you will find this session fruitful, useful, and engaging. And more importantly, we hope we can find ways to work together for the Philippine coffee sector. Magandang hapon po sa inyong lahat at mabuhay mula sa PPSA. Back to you, VJ.
Thank you so much for that, Ami. Um, Again, for your questions, for our speakers, kindly type them in the Q&A box and we will accommodate them when we get to the Q&A session of this webinar. Now, we have the privilege to have joined us here today from the Department of Trade and Industry Coffee Cluster. Our speaker is Ms. Myrna Pablo, who currently heads the Department of Trade and Industry in Cordillera Administrative Region as its regional director. Concurrently, she sits as the DTI National Industry Cluster Coordinator for Coffee, where she had a major role in crafting the Philippine Coffee Industry Roadmap 2017 to 2022. She exposed herself in various trainings here and abroad, such as the Specialty Coffee Expo in USA, Cafe Rest Trade Show in Korea, Tea and Coffee World Cup exhibition in Singapore, and the International 33rd FAO Regional Conference in Malaysia. With that, I am now giving the floor to Director Myrna Pablo.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, DJ. Nice to see online the coffee stakeholders from the production from seed to cup of the value chain of coffee. So I was asked to present DTI activities for the coffee cluster under the new normal. And may I just inform everyone that I've been designated as the coffee cluster coordinator for DTI since 2013. And since then to date, I have been collaborating with a lot of partners, both from the government and private sector. I met a lot of stakeholders from production to processing and of course, one of the most important figures I met is Yusek Laviña of DA, as passionate with a heart in assisting the coffee sector. So as I was mentioning earlier, what I'm going to present briefly are the activities we have been undertaking since March, when there was already a community quarantine nationwide. And even before that, we had a lot of meetings, physical, and now shifting to either blended or virtual activities. So may I now present to you therefore what these initiatives are, not only in Cordillera, but also in all the other regions, because as the cluster coordinator of coffee for DTI, 14 regions are enrolled in this coffee cluster, excluding Region 5 and Region 4B. All the rest are part of the coffee industry cluster at the Department of Trade and Industry. Okay, can we have the first slide? So these are the activities undertaken. First, can we have the first slide? Okay. As I was mentioning earlier, since the pandemic period in March 15, we shifted uh, our attention in supporting the coffee industry in all the regions, from physical activities, physical meetings, to more online marketing and online on marketing and promotion. I'll show you later that we were also into some physical activities when the situation was better sometime in September in the case of Region 4A. So what did we do? As DTI, uh, it was really a very difficult shift from physical to virtual, especially with the kind of clients that we are having in the regions. I'm referring particularly to our farmers, and they are not usually going online marketing and online promotion. So it was also a challenge for DTI, and I think even with other agencies, on how to bring them together and learn the ropes of e-commerce, of financial technology, going cashless transactions. So you have there, we did conduct series of trainings on e-commerce, logistics and financial technology, product promotion through online selling, creation of Facebook pages, groups, participation to virtual trade fairs. If there's one advantage or opportunity we saw in this community quarantine or pandemic, is the only option left for the farmers and even our MSMEs from seed to cup. Those are the farmers, traders, consolidators, and coffee shops, is the opportunity for them to go online. It was really very difficult at the start, especially for our farmers, where most of the farmers are already aging, with an average age nationwide from 45 to 65. The cafeteria or the coffee shop sector was not difficult, because if you notice the profile of those engaged on coffee processing and especially on coffee shops, they are mostly the millennials who love to become baristas and who love to operate and manage coffee shops. And that's also the advantage for online for the millennials. So we did create a lot of Facebook pages, groups, individually as MSMEs, farmers organizations, but more on the Department of Trade and Industry regional offices, because these activities undertaken are the contributions of all the 14 regions, as I was mentioning. And I'd like also to mention that in most of the regions, if not all, we have regional coffee councils, which were organized when we were crafting the coffee roadmap. So Yusek Laviña knows that very much. We worked very hard in the establishment or creation of a platform of convergence among the coffee stakeholders, both in the government and private sector. So natuto po silang mag-attend ng virtual trade fairs, promoting their products online and getting orders through online, and DTI assisting them on how deliveries should be made using couriers or using local delivery vehicles locally available in the region. So ito po yun, we use Shopee, we use Lazada, uh, and a lot of local riders, especially in the case of each region. Next. So as I was mentioning earlier, this it's a blended modality, both online and physical. This physical is very rare to have, which took place in Tagaytay because, of course, of the restrictions on the compliance of health, of minimum health and safety protocols. But that was made possible by this group of coffee stakeholders, particularly Cafe Amadeo Development Cooperative. This is a very big cooperative based in Tagaytay, in Cavite, and they had a Bagsakan fair last September 26. So it's a physical trade fair where you saw a lot of coffee products promoted and selling through actual physical trade fairs. As I said, strictly following the minimum health protocols and standards. You also see there participation of the Davao Coffee Council to the Kadiwa ni Ani at Kita Expo August 28, 2020. I think this is also in partnership with DA because we talk of Kadiwa when you talk of DA, and a lot of support for our local farmers and MSMEs. You have there Project Hilon, which focus on OTOP. OTOP is one town, one product. This is the best of best product in each of the municipalities identified by the local government unit officials and the agency like the Department of Trade and Industry. And DA has also been a part of this. When we do promote our products, it would always go from seed to cup on the coffee. So we have their Auto Hub on wheels featuring the coffee products from September 17 to 18. That's in Cagayan Region 2. So if you see our presentations, it's a convergence of coffee presentations from all over the regions. Next. So next day. Okay. So as I was mentioning earlier, under the new normal, we know for a fact that there has been a transformation, a lot of transformation from physical to virtual. And luckily, we know that holding webinars, online meetings, has been very easy and convenient for everyone. I think you can attest to that because within one day or half day, we can schedule webinars for our clients. But one of the challenges until now among the regions, not only in CAR, but the less advanced regions, we have problems on technology. Internet connectivity is not that strong. And we have also been converging and coordinating with the ICT and MPC for the telcos to be more proactive in strengthening the connectivity in the region. So our region, for instance, is not an exception to that because we have been encountering, but we always find ways to make sure that we can still continue our webinars, online meetings. I remember what we did one was that we had to make sure that the activities can be continued on coffee. So we have to tape the messages of our speakers. We curated them, and we whether there's technology, there's internet or not, we were able to do it because it was a blended modality. The speakers' messages were taped, but the actual Q&A we had an online with the speakers. So for August 17 this year, we brought all together the 14 regions, which we do regularly. Of course, the USEC Laviña has been very supportive on this. They were always around because it's a multi-agency support. DA, DOST, other agencies like DNR were also there. So we had it in August 7th. We had it online, of course. So it was hosted by DTI-CAR. So you can see there that all the regions are there. USEC Laviña, thank you so much. So what did we do there? We had DA National Coffee Industry Accomplishment Report and Touch-Up Plans presentation by the Office of USEC Laviña. We also have DTI National Coffee Industry cluster accomplishment report by me. Phil Cafe is a very good partner. Phil Cafe is the program of Activoca. It's a USDA-funded project where they give technical support, capacity building, especially for the farmers. So they were also there to present their major programs on coffee quality improvement. Rapid growth programs on coffee industry. This is also a program uh, primarily for Mindanao and Visayas, assisting coffee farmers. And of course, Nestle, I'd like to mention, is part of it, as there was an MOU signed between the CEO of Nestle and our secretary regarding the development of the farmers sector or the production side for the rapid growth to assist more and more farmers. I understand there are 3,000 farmers being assisted by Nestle in partnership with the rapid growth program of DTI. Rapid means Rural Agro-Industrial Partnership for Inclusive Development. This is an IFAD funded program with DTI, and of which we came up with a partnership with Nestle, and DTI is very happy with that partnership because what will that partnership do? More farmers will be assisted, more farmers will be assisted in improving the quality of seedlings and improving the quality of beans, coffee beans being produced, and that's because of the partnership of DTI, Rapid, and Nestle. Thank you very much, Nestle, for that. And we also discussed during that August 17, the proposed bill on the development of the Philippine coffee industry. Finally, we worked with Yusek Laviña's office and a committee, House committee, uh, through the bill of Congresswoman Sharon Garin. There's now a House bill on the development of the Philippine coffee industry, where more defined there is a platform of convergence among the coffee stakeholders. And I understand if it becomes a law or an act, then it will be very given to the Philippine coffee industry continuously, and we welcome that. It has been submitted, I suppose, by the Department of Agriculture to the House, no, to the House, and of course, we got inputs from all the regions, and DA has been very instrumental in forwarding it or endorsing it to the House of Representatives for further deliberations. Next. Okay, so another online meeting that we had last August 25 on Phil Cafe and DTI Rapid Growth Project Partnership, as I was mentioning earlier, programs and projects to push the Philippine coffee forward, issues and concerns from different coffee stakeholders, support to be given by the government and private sector partners, launching of partnership between Phil Cafe and Rapid Growth Project. We realized that as we move further to assist the coffee industry, more and more partners are coming in to support the project. So now, if we were to look at the agencies assisting the coffee industry, both government and private sector, we can say that the interest or support for the coffee sector is mounting from everyone, both from the government and private sector. And each agency has something to share in terms of specific programs that they want to be part of relative to the coffee industry. So at the macro level, as the DTI cluster coordinator on coffee, I can see specific support. We are not duplicating, we are complementing, because we do meet regularly, and we want to make sure that what we are doing does not conflict with each other. And we have been meeting regularly the private sector stakeholders from Luzon, Visayas, Mindanao, to see what their needs are. But again, as I said, limitation is on physical meeting, but I think going online virtual may not really be that hindrance to us, because we can easier communicate. Although we miss everyone, we miss to see everyone, as we did 2 years ago when we were crafting the Philippine Coffee Industry Roadmap. So I miss everyone here, but I'm happy that we are seeing here, and we continue to work together for the development of the Philippine coffee industry. Um, October 1 was International Coffee Day. And I think everyone celebrated with us. DTI joined the toast. Cheers to young coffee farmers and brewers. Happy International Coffee Day. So we uploaded this short message in our FB pages at DTI, whole DTI. And the focus for this year, as you are aware of, is coffee's next generation. So we always talk about the young people. We should be training the young people already to be to inherit the businesses of their parents or grandparents, as I was mentioning earlier. The average age of farmers now, especially in Cordillera, is from 45 to 65 years old. And we also introduced some online activities for the children of the farmers, because it's easier to teach them to become entrepreneurs because they are techie during this time. We need more technology-based people, digital young generation. So we are taking this opportunity to uh, to identify and locate where their children are, and we have been giving them seminars on youth entrepreneurship. We have been connecting them with possible support of funding because DA has a special funding USEC on youth for development projects. So ito po yung sinasabi natin, we target young people and entrepreneurs in the coffee sector. DTI celebrated the International Coffee Day with the rest of the world. And of course, we gave tribute and appreciation to our coffee farmers, traders, processors, brewers, and other parts of the coffee value chain who are working hard for the coffee industry even if we are facing the COVID-19 pandemic. Every part of the value chain, from the farmer to the trader, to the consolidator, to the roaster, to the final to the coffee shop, to the baristas, all of them are very important in the value chain. Without any one of them, we cannot say that we have a very good Philippine coffee industry. Okay, a few more slides, please, on other ongoing activities that we are pursuing. Just last, the other week, no, October 12, 19, and 26. This is not yet out. Tayo lang po ang first na makakarinig ngayon. So we are coming up with a 5-minute video, promotional video. Why are we doing that? I think most of you are aware of Ingat Angat of DOT. We want to promote coffee also to our stakeholders. We want to give them hope that indeed very soon we'll bounce back very well in the coffee industry. So as is mentioned there, we want to build confidence of coffee stakeholders who are hardly affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. We know that the coffee processing or the coffee shops is hardly hit in this pandemic. We know that a lot of these coffee shops have to close temporarily. Some have folded up, and slowly we see that they are again bouncing back. So we want to have that 5-minute video to show everyone that indeed the coffee industry is not sleeping, it's moving fast again. So we want to show support to the whole value chain of the coffee industry, from seed to cup or from farmers to consumers. We want to show the interdependence among the coffee stakeholders. We want to emphasize that the stakeholders in the value chain indeed have to complement each other. We need to unify, especially during this pandemic period, when we only have ourselves to help each other. We want to show the world that together we can work again for a better Philippine coffee. Next. And of course, we are going global. The DTI Stockholm in Sweden, again coordinated with DTI through its Rapid project for the promotion of Philippine coffee in Scandinavia. We had a meeting with the head of the attaché of DTI Stockholm for a possibility of exporting coffee to that area where they also have a very discriminating consumers as far as drinking coffee is concerned. We also want to show to them that we may not have yet the production, especially Arabica, because that's what they want, because they want, roasters want to have more coffees. We understand, they have tasted initially the Philippine Arabica coffee and they like it. So what are we doing on that? We just had a meeting last week, and the objective is to help our coffee MSMEs in promoting Philippine coffee in Scandinavia. This must be a challenge. Suntok sa buwan yan kung tutuusin, because we don't have really the volume. But I think it's worth trying, and it's worth knowing also from them if indeed our coffee in the Philippines is as excellent as we think it is. Because when we were in the Specialty Coffee Expo in Boston, USA, a lot of some interested buyers, roasters, and coffee shop owners came to our booth, and they signified intention to be part of our coffee coffee production. But again, we accept the fact that the challenge here is production, and Yusek Laviña is here. I know that they're working very hard, because we can only process so much depending on the availability of supply. So the challenge there is really how to increase more production so that we can serve particularly the domestic market. We have to satisfy our domestic market while we still want to also export, because we are the number 5 consumer of coffee in the world, but we only produce about 15% of our total requirement. Some of which, particularly Robusta, is being imported from Vietnam or from Indonesia to fill up the requirement of the domestic market. We want to help the MSMEs increase their volume of production and coffee quality with assistance from the Rapid Growth Project and with the assistance of the other coffee stakeholders like the Phil Cafe of Activoca. We also have other stakeholders helping us to make sure that we will have premium quality coffee, which we call specialty coffee in the Philippines. Okay, next. I think this is the last slide. I think you have heard a lot about this. If you did, this is the brainchild program of Mayor Magalong of Baguio City and DTI and the supermarkets and retailers in Baguio City and in the provinces of CAR. What's this? It's a public-private partnership where we brought together the city government, DTI, DA, and the retailers uh, to bring the goods closer and safer to the barangays uh, for a price same at the price of the groceries. And the reason there is, why are we bringing them to the barangays? We want to decongest the financial district. We want to decongest the capital city so that the transmission of COVID-19 virus will be minimized. So this is primarily to address congestion of people or queuing of people in the stores. So we brought all the goods to the barangays, and most of the goods we don't have a picture, but for most of these rolling stores, we were able to sell a lot of the soluble coffee of Nestle, because of course we don't have coffee shops in this barangay. So a lot of the coffee, 3-in-1 coffee of Nestle have been the favorite of the barangays. And why? Of course, it's cheaper compared to the brewed coffee, and it's more accessible to them in terms of prices. And these are easily brought to the barangays. So we host barangays, provided support in terms of security, maintenance of social distancing and traffic management. And products being sold there are not only grocery items, but made it complete one-stop shop with agricultural products with the participation actively of DAs, Kadiwa on Wheels, and of course DTI network with the groceries who voluntarily assisted us in bringing the goods closer and safer to the barangays without additional cost to them when they go, instead of going to the groceries in the city where the possibility of COVID-19 transmission is very, very apparent. Next. Okay, next please. So ito po yung, these are just some of the things that we did. We have direct sales to customers. Prices of basic necessities and prime commodities are priced same as store or market price, as I mentioned. Increased variety of products, brands, and variants. And as I said, always visible are the soluble 3-in-1 coffee from Nestle. Identified, we also did it apart from supermarket setup, we did it with identified drop-offs in areas with scattered constituents like sari-sari stores are given supplies, therefore reducing the need to purchase supplies in central business district, and conduct of regular evaluation meeting with the office, with Mayor Magalong, DTI, and the grocery establishment if there's a need further to continue this rolling store because we started it March 25 immediately when there was a declaration of the country under a state of national emergency and there was community quarantine. The mayor asked DTI already to meet together with the grocery establishments and DA to come up with this program. We are very proud for this because this is the first of its kind until now in the Philippines. Rolling Store is still alive and kicking until now. So can we see the sales in the next slide? Since March 25 until now, it has been institutionalized. We haven't stopped because until now, COVID-19 transmission is very strong and we need still to minimize this transmission by avoiding people to go to the central district. Number of fronts, 224. Number of retailers, 3. Number of barangays covered, 281. And total beneficiaries, 614,000. And sales generated by the grocery establishments is 159 million. Okay, so I think that would be all. Thank you so much. And I'm now ready to answer any clarification or questions. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much po, Director Myrna, for the overview of the activities of the coffee cluster in the time of the pandemic. I think that's a lot po, despite the limitations in the movement. Okay, for our participants, Director Myrna has to leave after some questions because of an equally important engagement. Uh, but we have one question right here. I think Director Myrna, you discuss about promotion of coffee, and I think this is related to that topic. And the question is, what is the state of Liberica coffee growing in the Philippines, and how can we control the false promotion of Excelsa beans as Kapeng Barako when in fact it's the Kapeng Barako should only be Liberica beans? Can you answer that question?
First question first muna. How, sir,
Yes. Yes
Vijay,
po, direct.
can you please repeat lang the first question?
Sige po. The question is, what is the state of Liberica coffee growing in the Philippines? And in relation to the coffee promotion, how can we control the false marketing of Excelsa beans as Kapeng Barako? Can you
Okay.
answer that question?
Okay. First, state of production of Philippine Liberica. I think the Philippine Liberica is that's the one that we see in Region 4A, no?
Mm-mm.
Liberica is the Barako, tama? So we know that years before, as we understand, Region 4A used to be leading in terms of exporting coffee of Liberica. But we understand that in recent years, no longer the reigning region or even the Philippines is no longer into exportation of Liberica because the production has decreased. And why? As I also understand, the plantations for Liberica in Region 4A, Batangas, Cavite, have been converted to uh, housing development programs, which became more lucrative for businessmen, and they most of them abandoned the plantation of Liberica because there was also a decrease already on the price of Liberica worldwide or in the export market, and therefore there has been a corresponding decrease in the production. So as a result of development, I think the people in Region 4A had to trade off and have to trade off their Liberica production to development projects, which earn them a bigger sum of money or bigger amount. As to the false marketing of Excelsa, false marketing, labeled as Liberica. So I really don't have complete information on that. I think the other speakers can talk more of that. I'm not in a position to answer it, but uh, we really have to have more research on the false misrepresentation of this product into another product. I'm not in a position to answer that right now. Thank you.
All right po, maraming salamat po Director Myrna for the presentation and for the answering the question posted by our participant. Thank you so much po.
Thank you.
Thank you po. Our next speaker will give us a glimpse of the general situation of the Philippine coffee industry and the initiatives of the Department of Agriculture. We are also fortunate to be with us here, the DA Undersecretary for High Value Crops and Rural Credit, USEC Evelyn Laviña. USEC Evelyn Laviña's wide range of experience as a farmer, both for fish and crops in Davao City, and her positions in different organizations served her the spot as the DA Undersecretary. She previously and currently held positions in different organizations, such as the founding treasurer for the Cacao Industry Development Association of Mindanao, the Davao City Chamber of Commerce, the Floriculture Industry of Davao, Davao Food Processors Association, and even those organizations that are actually dear to her heart, such as being the past president of the Soroptimist International Davao for her advocacy on women. And their stint in DA made her to lead key committees, councils, and task force. She was also used to be the focal person of DA for PPSA. Without much ado, I am now giving the floor to Yusek Evelyn.
Good afternoon, everyone. And thank you, my partner, Director Myrna. So our collaborative effort and the convergence and even with the private sector did a lot for the coffee industry of the Philippines. So if RD Myrna was talking about the marketing already and the promotions, even in the local and the international, I'll be talking on the more serious one, which is the root of everything, which is the production. So coffee, as we know, almost 2.25 billion cups are being consumed a day. And according to the International Coffee Organization, there are about 144.64 million bags of coffee that are produced. So every time we wake up in the morning with the aroma of the coffee, it perks us up and give us the positive energy for the whole day. And it even strengthens us to fight the negativity of the coffee. So pag naamoy mo pa lang, nakatawa ka na, no? So what is very important for us is to have a positive outlook, and it is the only way that we will survive this COVID war. So for everyone's, there are about next slide, please. For everyone's knowledge, in the Philippines, we have four varieties of the coffee, which is Arabica. Arabica is a high elevation. They said it's less caffeine content. And then the Liberica, which is our Kapeng Barako, which is being asked earlier with RD Myrna. Ito yung tinatawag natin na we're known for this years back. It's tolerant on drought and it can grow in a wider type of soil. The other one is the Robusta, which we usually use to produce the instant coffee. So in the Philippines, we produce about 70% of this, which is exactly the opposite of Arabica, which Arabica is mas marami yung species na cultivated all around the world. But in the Philippines is the Robusta. So the other one is the Excelsa, which is similar to Liberica, which were also known. It is also resistant to the drought. In the middle, makikita ninyo dyan when you do the coffee cupping, yung mga notes, ano yung mga flavor nila, ano yung mga sa sensory tasting nila. So it can be described there, no? So I won't already, ito for ano na ito, when you do already roasting, no? So next slide, please. Where are we now, no, in the coffee industry? Next slide. So in the Philippines, there's the number of years there from 2016 to 2019, there's really a decline, no, of the production area. Even our yield, which is about 0.60 per hectare, it went down to 0.54. So I'll give you also the reasons later. And below is the production with a total of from 68,000 metric tons to 60,000 metric tons, which is ang laki-laki nung the difference from the in 2016 to 2019. So those are also on the slide are what are those, the four varieties, how much are we producing each on every year from Arabica, Robusta, Liberica, and Excelsa. So here that we can see that our Robusta is about in 2019 about 41,000 metric tons, with Arabica, which comes next, which is being done in the high elevations, especially in CAR. That's about 14,000 metric tons. And Excelsa, which is very, very small at 3,907 metric tons, with Liberica at only 483 metric tons. Okay, next slide, please. So here you can see the pie distribution of where our producing region are, with number one in Soc Sargent with 12%, 34%, and region 11, which is the Davao region, with this, which contributed 18%, and Bangsa, which is the BARM now, with about 18%. And then with pareho sila pala, it's number 3. And then the number 4, which is region 10, Northern Mindanao, and region 6, with only a little bit of a little percentage contribution. Okay, next slide, please. So if we have the uh, locally produced coffee, we also have a lot of imports, no? Showing here in the slide is from 2017 to 2019 on how big our importations are. So it is divided into roasted coffee, not roasted, and decaffeinated, which is about 59, and then coffee roasted and not decaffeinated, and coffee roasted or decaffeinated, and coffee decaffeinated, and other coffee varieties. Coffee which has already been, there's already value added to it. So it's about, the quantity is about 37,000, and the value in dollars is $72,000. Next slide, please. So if we have an importation, we also do export. Kaya nga lang, it's not that big, no? It is only equivalent to 212,617 US dollars. Next slide, please. So per SWOT analysis, the Philippine climate, for the strength, the Philippine climate and land are suitable to grow the 4 coffee varieties. And there's a good network between the private and government sector working together for this coffee industry. There's a strong presence also of the processors, and that can support the farmer groups. Next slide, please. So for our weakness, we experience a decline in the production and hectareage due to the farmer shift from other crop, as well as the land conversion, which was mentioned earlier by RD Myrna, which was already converted into a housing project. So and it became already recreation areas and the urbanization. And it is not only the coffee industry, but also the other commodities. Coffee farming is still dominated by the small farmers whose farm size is about 1 to 2, in which we will have a later. That's why I'm going faster, because I wanted to tell you what DA is already doing with all the weaknesses of our industry. So the low yield is result of the old trees, poor farmer practice, then limited access for planting material, and limited access and application of fertilizers and the biocontrol due to the high cost, and no law prohibiting and penalizing the passing of the cheap imported coffee as premium Barako or the new fake brands that proliferate in the market. For opportunities, next slide please. The growing demand does provide an opportunity for the local player to increase their production. So the coffee consumption nowadays is more on the soluble coffee, but then uh, there's already also with the young population is already into uh, wanted, and most of the time goes to coffee shops. So there's really a big market already for brewed coffee, with the proliferation already of the coffee shops. So at present, because of COVID also, everyone at home, instead of a coffee shop, is already doing a lot of consumption of brewed coffee. Besides the 3-in-1, no? The plant Rebecca is a Pinoy coffee and Robusta, since it has better yield and a higher price. And in some areas, we're trying to revive already the Liberica and the Excelsa. The brewed Barako coffee is healthier alternative as what they said, but then people still stick to 3-in-1 because it's easier. And for me, I still go for 3-in-1 because it's the most convenient and easier to access to. Uh, the SWOT analysis, the entry of imported coffee and coffee products from other countries threaten the local producer. The price of GCB is volatile, with the local price dictated by the world price. And then the high cost of growing coffee also put pressure, no? For Arabica, the unstable peace and order situation and the presence of theft in the highland growing areas discourage investment. And the poor condition of the rural infrastructure and situation. Then, next slide, please. What are the initiatives of the high value crops? So at present, next slide. Ito ngayon, this is what is happening now, no? During the COVID made us realize to go back to the basic. So the Department of Agriculture, although Secretary Dar sat down August of 2019, he already had this 8 paradigm, which is modernization, industrialization, export promotion. In export promotion, it is locally, no, produced and for local consumption, but for export quality, if ever there's an excess, then we can already do export from that. Industrialization, because we need economy of scale. Modernization, because we need to upgrade, no? Na hindi tayo nahuhuli, because it's better to have to go into modernization. May kailangan yan machineries, whatever is needed, no? So farm consolidations, we need everybody to work together for the economy of scale, because it is easier for our DTI to sell it and market it because there's a quantity, quantity with quality. Roadmap development is really to look back into the roadmap on what is doable and not, and to review it, which we had it already 3 years ago. It's time for already for the review. And that for a higher budget, and there will be more investment and legislative support. So with this, the Department of Agriculture vision, no, that food secured Philippines with prosperous farmer and fisher folks. So during the COVID, there was a realization of a lot of things. As I've said earlier, is going back to the basic. So during that time, instincts tell, as what DA did, that we need to survive. So During that time, it was DA who is a frontliner on field that seeing to it that there's an hampered delivery of the basic goods. Now we are in the process of rebooting, and we did reboot while we were trying to survive and grow. Next slide, please. So in order to survive, then we reboot and grow because we need the socio-economic recovery and resiliency for the country. So production and availability for everyone, whether you're a farmer or a consumer, then we need accessibility and also affordability of everything, both for farmer and consumer, and also the price stability and the food safety. So how will we do that? So right now, we have a lot of priority programs that can satisfy the 8 paradigm that the secretary would, and already adjusting to the COVID time. So what do we need and how are we going to go about there? So crop diversification is needed for coffee farmers to add on some short gestating crops, since coffee is a long gestating or medium gestating, because it can already have berries when it is about 1 year and a half, but it would peak on the 3 years. No, so at the beginning it still have a little bit of berries, then later on it would add more, but you still need to do other short gestating crops to add on to the income of the farmer. So you can go into animal raising or even fish, inland fish, or vegetables like the monthly, which you can harvest within 35 days or 20 to 25 days. So number two, crop diversification, you can also have it under coconut trees, which is also a little bit low income because it's just a monocrop. Then you add if you add coffee with it under the coconut trees, it has a synergistic action for both, which is good for both. Then you can have an add-on income. So that's the crop diversification example. For farm and fishery clustering and consolidation program, this is what we said, government can only help you uh, very well if and when you are into clusters, or it doesn't mean that your farm itself would be taken, but neighbors can do a lot, can team up and do have associations, and then or cooperatives where the government can help you properly, because it's easier to help by groups rather than by individuals, which the government cannot afford. So whether for your machineries or for your drying facilities or for roasting facility, it's better to be in clusters, and the economy of scale, which DTI and DA can easily sell it because there's an economy of scale, but it has to be of quality. So same thing with the expansion of the production area and productivity enhancement. Then post-harvest value adding, to add more income, you need to value add. So we have product development. Um, we can help you in your product development. So with all of this, you really need a financing, no? So we have the easy access for credit, which I'm not already going to give you because it's longer at marami. So I'll just give you the ASEF, it is the Agricultural Competitiveness Enhancement Fund, and also those we have for the IPs through the Agricultural Council Policy, ACPC of the DA, which our partners are from the rural banks and land bank. So we can have another session for this to be explained to you and Toto. So besides this, we are already also encouraging for everyone to register in each of your regional, provincial, for your, so that you can also avail of the Philippine crop insurance. So we encourage everyone to enroll in your insurance, because that's free for the government unless you wanted a bigger insurance for your farms. And every calamity, it's automatic already for the government to help through the insurance, and with our sure aid, also a kind of an easy access credit. Next slide, please. So the high value contribution to the industry, it increased of area of production provided by providing certified planting materials for expansion, increase in yield and production by providing the farmers with fertilizer and rehabilitation of their old, rehabilitating the old and unproductive trees, capacitating the farmers with updated technologies for production and post-harvest, mechanization of the farms by providing machineries and equipment to ease the harvest and processing, and continuous improvement of production, marketing, and post-harvest technology by means of research through our Bureau of Agricultural Research, and market matching of farmers to a possible buyer through agribusiness and marketing assistance services. So these are just the, we have already rebooted. So it's the already done, being done. So the realization of what COVID can do to all of us is really looking back that we really need to go back to the basic. And with COVID, the DA, it's just happened and we don't know how, but for the first semester, we had an increase in the contribution of the GDP of about 1.3%. So I think we're on the right track and we are hoping and hoping. But then, besides COVID, lately we had this typhoon and this La Nina will last up to April, which will take a toll also for our coffee industry. It's not just coffee, but with the other rest of the commodities that we have. So DA would really have wanted a food secured Philippines with a prosperous farmers and fisher folks, and that's really our vision. So we did survive, we are rebooting, and we are growing for the socio-economic recovery and resiliency of the whole of the agricultural industry. So with this, we're not alone here. We collaborate. We have a lot of partnership and the convergence. Ito yung strength talaga natin, no? Here in the coffee industry, the strength of the private sector, plus our partnership and collaboration and nag-uusap at lalong napaiging nag-uusap ang DTI and the Department of Agriculture, even with DOST, no? So, and then very active with the big companies such as Nestle na araw-araw, text, updating, gano'n, no? So yung partnership, it's not just uh, tayo with DA, DTI, or Nestle, but also with you, PPSA, and Grow Asia, with ACDI-VOCA and the rest, ay nag-uusap, and we even been closer now, no? Because we're just one messenger away and everybody's meeting already through this webinar. So for today, we hope that we've given that DA has helped survive with you, and we are rebooting with you also, and we need to grow together. So for this afternoon, with the collaboration for of everybody, we need to have what we call mataas, masaganang ani and mataas na kita. It means let's have a very good protection, income, then we have a very good income. So good afternoon, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that, Yusek Evelyn. That was a good presentation and information on the current condition of the coffee industry in the country. And I also want to highlight the collaborations that this session will go uh, in the next future. Okay, you know the drill. Your question should be typed in the Q&A box for us to properly see and sort the questions out. Now, I will invite Yusek Evelyn to answer some questions posted by our participants. And one of the first questions is among the coffee varieties you presented and based on hectareage and the potential, what coffee varieties should the government push for expansion? Um,
Sorry, I got
okay.
lost. Uh, the question again?
Sorry. The first question po ay among the coffee varieties you presented and based on hectareage and the potential, what coffee varieties should the government push for expansion?
Uh, Actually, the government is really distributing more of Robusta depending on the area and Arabica, yung dalawa na
Mm,
yon. But there are already areas through the local government who really wanted to push for the Liberica and for their area kasi they wanted to revive it. So government is distributing a lot for Arabica in the colder areas, highlands, and Robusta for the lowland. And we really need a lot of this because Nestle is importing part of their what they're producing, no? And they're really asking the help of the Department of Agriculture, in which we also have a partnership with them through our research center in Bukidnon and some other parts of the Philippines.
mm. Okay po. The next question po I think it's all about the given the current situation po of the pandemic, will there be an economic stimulus program for coffee growers?
Actually, we have in CAR Region 2 and Region 3. Yes.
Yes, that farmers have already availed po, no? Yeah.
Yes po. Pero
Mhm. Mm.
kasi very specific yung mga projects na nandoon, no, for the stimulus package because they will not accept kung walang pangalan at saka if there's no name of organization that would take in the stimulus package. So yeah, it's very very
Mm.
specific. But what we can do for the farmers of the coffee, they can access mga credit facility through rural banks and land bank of the Philippines. So we have a lot of programs, credit programs for that. And then we also have the ATEF through land bank.
Thanks, Yusek. There's another question here. There are reports from the ground that some farmers choose not to plant anymore because they are already four-piece beneficiaries. What is the response of the agency on that issue?
Actually, it's not just in coffee, but the sugar has a very, 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 very big problem on that, the sugar industry. No? But it's not just happening in the coffee. But then actually, we really don't like the four-piece to be given for free because we wanted it something that we can have a return of investment through their labor, for through their planting of the coffee. So we were praying even if they have uh, that finances that they still plant coffee to add on to that um, finances that were given to them because it's just a small one and they cannot unless their children would go to school and
Mm-mm.
it's not even enough supposedly
Yeah,
but
not
they're trying
sustainable.
to live with it to live by it. Yes.
Mm-mm. Yes. There is one last question po from our participant. How can the smallholder coffee farmers access the provision of fertilizers, which is very critical for increasing production? Yusek, you're on mute po. Sorry.
If they can request through us, then we
Mm-mm.
can ask the regions to look into them.
Mm-mm. Okay. I think that's only the question that came in from our participants. Now, thank you so much po, Yusik Evelyn, for the presentation and for responding to the questions of our participants. Thank you so much
Okay,
po.
thank you, Ami. Thank you, VJ.
Thank you.
And
And
thank you,
yes po.
Ran, Pranav.
And And I think you will be staying po for the rest of the session.
Yes, yes,
Okay.
because my partner is not there, so I have to stay.
Sige po.
Yeah.
Okay, before we start with the second part of this session, we have a few reminders for our speakers and for our participants. For our succeeding speakers, your time allotment is only 5 to 7 minutes presentation. After the presentations, we will proceed with the Q&A. So if you have any questions, again, kindly type them in the Q&A box, and we'll request our speakers to respond to them during our moderated discussions. And your mic is still on mute, but we will give you permission to speak during the open forum. Just raise your hand virtually using the Zoom function, I think located beside the Q&A box. Okay, at this point, we will proceed with the presentations on insights, initiatives, and perspectives relating to strengthening the coffee industry and, of course, helping smallholder farmers in increasing their profitability. Our first speaker is the ever supportive lead of the Coffee Working Group of PPSA. Ms. Ruth Novales currently serves as the Vice President and Corporate Affairs Executive of Nestle Philippines and currently leads the Public-Private Partnership for the Nescafe Plan Philippines. She is also the elected chairman of the European Chamber of the Philippines Committee on Agriculture and Subcommittee on Coffee. Prior to her role in corporate affairs, Ruth was the head of the Marketing Promotions and Events Department of the Nestle Philippines. And prior to joining Nestle, Ruth worked in different FMCG companies such as Kimberly-Clark Philippines, Wyeth, RFM Corporation, Reebok Philippines, and Jardine Davis Incorporated. Ruth earned her business management degrees, both bachelor's and master's, from the Ateneo de Manila University. She also took a course on agricultural extension and communications from the University of Reading in the United Kingdom. Ruth is leading the government stakeholder affairs of the Nescafe Plan, and she is also the focal person of Nestle for the National Convergence Initiative, High Value Crops Development Program, and the National Greening Program. With that, over to you, Miss Ruth.
Magandang hapon po sa inyong lahat. VJ, is my voice okay now?
Yes po, loud and clear
Yes,
po.
yes. Maraming salamat po, and I would like to personally, before I start, thank the following people. First of all, Grow Asia for conducting this session so we can continue the support for our farmers. We'd also like to thank with all our heart these two ladies who have been working with us for years and years, more than 10 years for the coffee industry unselfishly. Undersecretary Evelyn Laviña of the DA, Regional Director Myrna Pablo of DTI, Heroine Joji Pantoja of Coffee for Peace, who is now in Davao. Hello, Joji. Of course, for the first time, we have invited a farmer, Arnold Abear from Bukidnon. Thank you very much as well to my colleagues in Nestle, Jojo Samera and Angel Bautista. They were instrumental in bringing Mr. Abiar to participate in us despite a very big landslide that happened in the area, but they were able to make it. Thank you very much. And also our friends from Vietnam who will be sharing with us good practices in coffee. Maraming salamat po. Now more than ever, we can say that really we need to help one another. And true to our commitment in Nestle that we will be helping the farmers come pandemic or typhoons. We will not lose faith and hope and believe with our partners that we can do it for our farmers. So next slide, please. Just to introduce our company, we are based in Rockwell. However, we have a lot of facilities nationwide, and our biggest coffee hub in training is the Bukidnon Integrated Coffee Center, which is in partnership with the Department of Agriculture. And in July 9, 2020, Bukidnon Integrated Coffee Center is now a certified learning site by DA-ATI, and thank you very much. And next year, we will be welcoming more farmers in the area for training. So we are in the Philippines, we are here to stay, and we are going to buy as much coffee we can from the coffee farmers in the country. Next slide. We are doing three big programs for creating shared value. Ang ibig sabihin po noon is we're doing things for our own needs, but especially we are really helping the country through, number one, our nutrition programs that we're happy to share that even in the pandemic, we are doing all our programs for students online. Also, we have been plastic neutral last August, meaning all the plastics that we have used in our packaging, we're able to retrieve, and we will be doing so that in 2025, all our packaging will be recyclable. And last but not least, our focus for this afternoon is our farmer programs, particularly in coffee. So next slide, please. Just a short background on the coffee industry, just to put everything in the proper perspective and why we're doing the programs we are doing currently. Next slide. So as said by Yusek Laviña and RD Myrna, the problem of our coffee farmers are really productivity. And in fact, we started with 340 kilos per hectare, or sometimes in some areas even lower, but our objective ultimately is a minimum of 1,000 kilos per hectare, which will show you what we're doing to reach that. Thank you. So we are only 29% self-sufficient in coffee in this country. Next slide. And the number one variety being manufactured in the country is Robusta, which is used in instant coffee. This is very timely now because of the fact that most of our out-of-home outlets are not working or 100% normal. Most of our coffees are consumed in the homes. And also you can see, next slide, that most of the coffees are produced and grown in Mindanao. But what's good is that our DA and our other government agencies are also giving support to other areas in the Philippines. Next slide. Therefore, our program since the 1960s, the Nescafe Plan, very simply put, we are aiming to raise farmer incomes through better yields that makes the program sustainable, through our partnerships, through our excellent plantlets, through our sustained agronomical training, through our buying the coffee beans in key coffee growing areas in the country, through our community programs to equip our womanhood and our families with other livelihood initiatives. And lastly, consumer communications. Dinidevelop po natin ang brand so that we will have more consumption. Therefore, we will be able to buy more volume from the coffee farmers in the country. Next slide. So far, from the 1960s to the present, this is what the Nescafe Plan has achieved through our partners. Number one, we train 8,500 farmers per year, and hopefully for the next years, through the partnership with ATI and TESDA, we will be able to equip more farmers with the best in coffee production and nursery operations. Thank you to ATI and to TESDA. Second, we have distributed more than 16 million plantlets, and most of these has been ordered by the Department of Agriculture in support of our coffee farmers nationwide. Also with the DAR and with DNR through the National Convergence Initiative Partnership. In fact, as Yusek Laviña said, our biggest coffee farming demo farm and training center is located inside the Department of Agriculture facility in Malaybalay, Bukidnon. And as we speak, we have already recorded twice the yield of farmers and thrice in income of our supervised farmers. Next slide. And what better way to honor our model farmers than putting them in the forefront of our packaging? Therefore, effective October of this year, we have featured model farmers in all our packaging. And guess what? This afternoon, one of them will be talking to you. Next slide. Therefore, we are in unison with DTI and DA on what needs to be done continuously in order to have good yields for our farmers. The good planting material, favorable environmental conditions, high density planting, high adoption of gap, etc. All of these are encompassed in the Good Agricultural Practices Workbook of the DA, which the private sector and the DA and our other partners have put together to ensure that farmers anywhere in the Philippines will be able to do what is proper in coffee production. Next slide. And if we follow the gap, then this is what you can see. These are the coffee cherries in our demo farm in Lipa. and also in Bukidnon as of September. So we can do this. We can do this for farmers, and we can do all this together. But we have to follow the good agricultural practices for coffee with the support of our stakeholders. Next slide. So later it was asked, how do you sustain the programs during this pandemic? First of all is crop diversification. And you can see these models in our demo farm in LICC in Lipa, Batangas. Next slide. And we are very proud to show to you live cases of our intercropping with coconut and corn in Mindanao. And these, you see the names of the farmers who have worked with us in their farms to try this very good crop diversification programs. Next slide. So be like Leo, Eduardo, Reynaldo, and Jovi in intercropping vegetables with our coffee. You have a high value crop and you have other crops which can also sell more frequently, and also some of the table crops like vegetables. Next slide. And if you happen to be in Mindanao, do visit the Mindanao Bukidnon Integrated Coffee Center, and you can see from the training, the mother plant garden, varietal trials, coffee intercropping, and plantlet nurseries. All of these are available for your learning at the facility. And I'd like to acknowledge our agronomy team led by Sir Art Barria for allowing us to conduct our teachings there. And Jojo Samera is the facility lead. Next slide. But of course, the key to what we are doing as well is not just what our models are and what our proofs of concept are without the help and support of our stakeholders. And as you can see, Secretary Dar is a farmer at heart, and he has been really supportive of the efforts to uplift the coffee industry, starting with a good planting material, which the BPI has been supporting us with. Next slide. In 2017, Yusek Laviña and RD Myrna was with me when DTI Secretary Ramon Lopez and then Secretary of DA, Secretary Piñol, presented President Duterte with the Philippine National Roadmap. And we have been informed that the DA will be revisiting the roadmap for not only of the remainder of the life of the roadmap, but as we were told, that there's going to be till so many years to come. So we are waiting for the day when we will start discussing the roadmap again. Next slide. And with the roadmap is the Good Agricultural Practices book that DA has also done to make sure that the standards of coffee production are observed anywhere in the Philippines. Next slide. Now, there is a department in DA that is taking care of the private sector, and we are going to be working together to be able to make recommendations through resolutions to the DA Secretary. And this is led by Dr. Lisa Batad and also with USEC Evelyn Laviña as part of the Management Council of PCAF. Next slide. And as DTI has said, we are very, very hopeful and positive about the Rapid Growth Project, which is going to be helping our farmers first in Mindanao and then in other areas in the Philippines. So more power to the Rapid team and the Nestle team on Rapid Growth led by Angel Bautista. Yes, okay. Next slide, please. Of course, Nestle being a European company, we are also harnessing the power of the group in order to help the country with the coffee industry and all other crops. And therefore, I, as the head of the European Chamber Agri Committee, is pushing as well for other crops issues with the DA. And we are working together as one nation in Europe to be able to support the Philippine government at this time. Next slide. And of course, Grow Asia. We have been working with Grow Asia since day one, even to the establishment of the Philippine PPSA. Why? Because Grow Asia is working with the ASEAN and the World Economic Forum to alleviate the farmers in poverty throughout ASEAN, and more power to Grow Asia with all its efforts. Grow Asia and I are working together. Next slide. with these partnerships, they are helping me with the Philippine Coffee Roadmap for the implementation and the financial plan. We are putting up all these working group meetings to be able to bring out all the issues and work with government. We are as well promoting all the crop groups projects through shared information through our collaterals. Lastly, they made with us currently the coffee value chain analysis, which I will be sharing the results with government, and as well support for our banner project, Project Coffee Plus. Thank you, Grow Asia. Next slide. And what are the initiatives of Nestle currently for the coffee industry in brief? Next slide. There are 4 major projects. The first is, of course, Nescafe Plan, our mother project. And under the Nescafe Plan, we have Project Coffee Plus, where now we are mentoring 1,500 farmers in Bukidnon and Sultan Kudarat, leading to the 1,000 kilo performance in the farm of the farmers. So right now we have already doubled their yields to 500 to 600 kilos per hectare. And we are now working to push in the years to come for them to be able to reach that 1 metric ton per hectare target. Also with the Rapid, with DTI, and as well with the PCAF, working for the retention of trade remedies to be able to protect our farmers and to protect from illegal imports. That will really make sure that all the imports are taxed properly and all the monies are put in a fund for the development of the coffee industry. Next slide. So as you can see in the conduct of our projects, we continue to train farmers in Mindanao for the good agricultural practices for coffee with the agronomy program, coffee-based integrated farm systems, pruning rejuvenation, and training of rejuvenation of our aging trees, because this is also very important because there's so many trees and we don't want to cut them, we want to rejuvenate them, and training our young people to do so. Next slide. And we're very proud with our partner of GIZ that we are teaching the Farmer Business School for coffee to increase the incomes of our farmers. And you can see we have conducted hundreds of classroom trainings and field demonstration with our partners in GIZ already for coffee. So hopefully in the years to come, these communities will continue to produce good quality coffee in greater quantities. We cannot think of our programs without thinking of the country. And therefore, as my last word, Nestle Philippines loves coffee. Nestle Philippines loves the Philippines. Thank you very much for the support for our coffee industry. Maraming salamat po and good afternoon.
Thank you so much po, Ms. Ruth, for sharing with us the initiatives of Nestle Philippines in helping our coffee farms and, of course, our farmers achieve sustainability. If you have questions for Ms. Ruth, you might type them in the Q&A box, and we will let her answer the questions, come the moderated discussion of this session. Now, our next speaker is a farmer and agripreneur. Ka Arnold is a Nescafe plant coffee ambassador from Maramag town in Bukidnon, where Nestle's biggest coffee center is located. He was previously a rubber farmer, but he became active in coffee and started to acquire coffee areas in their barangay. He is a well-trained farmer in intercropping, coffee-based farm models, and green coffee beans buying project received from Nestle and DA. He also leads their group in setting up a model farm for coffee, abaca, ginger. For more information on what he does, his organization where he sits as a board member, and his experience in the farm, I am now giving the floor to Ka Arnold, who will be assisted by our friends from Nestle. Over po to you.
Hello, good afternoon everyone. Ako po si Arnold Abear. Live in Bagong Silang, Maramag, Bukidnon. I'm a coffee farmer. And my production is 1 metric ton per hectare. Member of Batacopa Association as a board member. And we have a member of the association almost more than 136. 136. 136. 136. 136. 136. 136. 136. 136. 136. 136. 136. 136. 136. 136. 136. 136. 136. 136. 136. 136. 136. 136. 136. 136. 136. 136. 136. 136. 136. 136. 136. 136. 136. 136. 136. 136. 136. 136. 136. 136. 136. 136. 136. 136. 136. 136. 136. 136. 136. 136. 136. 136. 136. 136. 136. 136. 136. 136. 136. 136. 136. 136. 136. 136. 136. 136. 136. 136. 136. 136. 136. 136. 136. 136. 136. 136. 136. 136. 136. 136. 136. 136. 136. 136. 136. 136. 136. 136. 136. 136. 136. 136. 136. 136. 136. as I'm also a Nescafe coffee ambassador. We have a group, and we train more than 50 farmers. And next slide, please. My association, we assist the member for assistance for loan application, because some of my co-farmers, they are hard to take, even fill up the loan application. And the association, we serve the member for the hauling. Sometimes we have to do group selling and some service support. Then if we have the association, we have a budget, we give them some planting materials depending on the request of the member. Next slide, please. I also train my coffee farmer here in my community through capacity building with the help of my agronomist, Sir Jojo, and the technician, Sir Alexis, for coaching, monitoring of their coffee farm as my duty as a coffee ambassador, and then helping them to improve their production. And I also received from the Nescafe some provision of planting materials and inputs, fertilizer, compost, and some plantlets. Next slide, please. Establish a demo farm which serve learning center for my community, for a subject for the place, for we have to some trainings to improve our production. And I also trained by the Nescafe as a trainer for my co-farmer in my community. And I also conduct regular monitoring for Nescafe better farming, good practices for their farm as a farm, and inspire them as a cluster to adopt identified initiative and improvement for practices for the goal for higher yield, as we take as ambition to get a higher yield as a target of 1 metric ton per hectare for every co-farmer here in my community, and collecting data, and also farmer relationship management solution farm, getting GPS for their farm, and teach them for new innovation, new technology to get higher yield for their coffee farm. And we take also physical activity like farm cross visit to share any innovation for their respective farm. Next slide, please. Our experience with the pandemic last year, we experienced irregular operation of the buying station due to the pandemic. Happened in March to April because of some restricted movements by logistic and cramming, and the IATF cramming for the implementation, not clear dissemination of information how to paano ba ma-transport. Like my community, we have almost 15 to 20% senior citizen restricted for this pandemic to travel. And the reopening of buying station while observing COVID protocols, clustering approach in terms of coaching, capacity building, one-on-one technical assistance to the farmer. Sometimes we do house-to-house consultation, training, assessment for their record keeping. And then for this coming season, the Nescafe are launching a digital payment through GCash to minimize the movement of physical movement of the coffee farmer, because of some areas for some local COVID transmission. So there are some areas in my community, especially in Maramag, they do some blocking to prevent spread of the transmission. Next slide, please. So the biggest challenge for us, like what saying of Ma'am Ruth, is the interior, the logistics, the interior of my community, especially the road going to farm, and the farmer also are lack of credit assistance. I know we have we know that there are some financial institutions to lend the farmer, but as what I've said before, the farmer is hard to fill up their loan application. That's why my association, our association, is helping them to assess to fill up their loan application. And sometimes the financing institution, they have insufficient or lack of funds in capacity building. Also, I have a challenge for the digital solution and tools and marketing, because kaming mga farmer, hindi kami kasi makasabay sa new normal ngayon eh. Hindi kami makasabay sa teknolohiya, lalo na nasa remote areas kami. Sa post-harvest and processing equipment and facilities, di naman in general, hindi naman talaga namin na nasolusyonan naman kahit papano. Pero yung problema namin, yung sa transportation talaga. Kasi down to the municipality wherein the buying station situated, there are some portion of the road are not passable for hauler truck. Only kabayo or motor, habal-habal, like that. Next slide, please. Thank you.
All right. Maraming salamat po Ka Arnold, and to our friends in Nestle for uplifting the lives of farmers like Ka Arnold. Okay, our next speaker is from Coffee for Peace, a multi-awarded social enterprise and inclusive business based in Mindanao. Among its many accolades, Coffee for Peace received the 2019 Sustainable Business Award as the best flagship initiative and the best social enterprise. Ms. Joji Pantoja, our speaker and the president and co-founder of Coffee for Peace, was recently awarded as one of only 3 awardees of the prestigious Oslo Business for Peace Award for her role in building peace in conflict-stricken areas. Ms. Joji is a food service administration graduate from University of Santo Tomas and social enterprise development masters from the Ateneo Graduate School of Business. Thank you so much po, Miss Joji, over to you.
Magandang hapon po sa inyong lahat. Hello Ruth, Hello, Yusek Laviña, and to the rest of the panelists. It's a privilege to be speaking with you and sharing our experience. As you have heard, Coffee for Peace is a social enterprise. So we try to focus on the peace and justice to bring just coffee in every cup. So yun yung goal ng aming kumpanya. So we help farmers sa training. Um, can you put on the next slide, please? So we help farmers sa training, no, from seed to cup. So during the pandemic, as you all know, we are experiencing a new paradigm shift in terms of how do we market our coffee. And there are many possibilities that we can earn income from the coffee plantation. One is from the seed through our nursery, parchment for seedlings, no? So that's one form of income that the farmers can have. Another one is yung green beans. So when we process green beans, we can sell it direct to the trader and roaster. The next one would be the roasted coffee. And the next one would be yung nasa coffee shop na drink and several drink concoction. And we have seen some of the baristas are producing yung cold brew, binabottle nila. Dahil sa pandemic, they are selling that in bulk at pipikapin na lang sa kanilang coffee shop. So, yun. Another one is farm as educational ecotourism. I've seen a farmer, siguro mga dalawang farmers tong nakita ko dito sa Mount Apo, wherein they built a small bahay kubo around their coffee plantation. And now, na nakaka-receive na sila ng pakonting visitors sa kanilang farm, they are operating that as a farm, as educational tour for those people who wanted to get exposure for coffee. So that's another form of income. Another one would be the coffee waste. What could you do on those coffee waste? So some people are making that as fertilizer. So sila ay nagbebenta ng fertilizer, organic fertilizer to other farmers, no? And another one is yung coffee tree mismo. Like here in our house, I make yung coffee tree as an ornamental plant. No, 'di ba uso ngayon yung mga nag-post ng mga plant sa loob ng kanilang bahay para at least kung naka-lock in naman sila sa kanilang kwarto, medyo may green naman yung surroundings nila. So, you could use coffee plant as your ornamental plant, no? Next slide. Paki-push sa next slide, please. Hello? Okay. So, now, pinakita ko sa inyo where we could earn money, no? So, there are several possibilities on where we could earn money. Now, let's look at the coffee value chain and itong role natin. We can see na sa growing and harvesting, mostly farmers ang nakatackle dyan, ano? Naka-assign dyan. Sometimes they pay for the transport. And then, if the farmers are organized as cooperative or association, they have their shared service facility. So they have their post-harvest facility there where they could do yung kanilang wet mill process and dry mill process. Then, may storage sila. I haven't seen that many farming communities na may good storage facility. So, isa ito sa mga challenges na that could affect the quality of coffee. So, sana mapagtuunan ng pansin ang storage or warehouse facility for our farmers. Another one would be the next stage for our value chain is when we when the traders or exporter buys our coffee, either yung traders dito sa local lang na iro-roast yung kape, or yung exporter, iro-roast nila yung kape dun sa kanilang country, that's another level. So with this, you need to know how to roast the coffee. You need to have yung equipment to roast your coffee. And we know, as those who are in the coffee business, you multiply the value of your coffee 3 times when it's roasted. So mas kikita si farmer kung roasted yung kape niya. So during the pandemic, because of the close down and the lockdown, we have offered our facility, our roastery, to roast for the farmers para at least dun sa kanilang mga kapitbahay, makapagbenta sila ng kape, no, na iinumin nila. So that's another form of income that helped the farmers survive during the lockdown. So roasting facility. And then, eto dito magaling ang assistance ng ating DTI sa branding and packaging, and also promoting our coffee sa ibang bansa, ano. So that's good, and we have attended several boot camp to revive our business, learning about e-commerce and how to use cashless payment. So ito yung challenges, katulad ng sinabi ni Arnold kanina, na ito yung challenges na hinaharap ng ating mga farmers, wherein una, sa bundok walang signal. So it's very hard for them to put their coffee on social media para makita lang. Kailangan bumaba sila from the bundok para magkaroon ng signal, para ma-upload nila yung kanilang pictures to promote their own coffee. And then kung may mag-o-order sa kanila, ang hirap nilang i-contact because wala nga signal, so kailangan bumaba uli sila. Pagka bumaba lang sila sa bundok, tsaka lang makaka-receive ng signal, then that's the only time that they would know that there's order for their coffee. So, what can we do with all these things na challenge sa atin? Kasi bukod sa post-harvest facility na kailangan ng mga farmers, yung roasting facility, yung warehouse, yung pagpapackage, yung marketing is the most important. Kasi you may have all of it, pero kung kulang ka sa marketing at hindi mo alam i-promote yung coffee mo, wala pa ring bibili. So we have to address also our marketing, the power of marketing. And that is through social media for the farmers, ano? So use of Facebook, Instagram, and other Shopee, Lazada, which our government has been helping sa pagpo-promote so that we can be trained. Pero hindi nakababa sa lahat. That's why all of us na mga enablers, DTI Rapid, kayo Ruth, sa Nestle, I think we should help our farmers how to use social media to their advantage so that when they take pictures, may titigil, hindi lang may titingin dun sa picture at magki-click. Hindi lang nilagpasan kasi ang pangit ng picture. So, I think we have to empower them and teach them on those things para may edge sila to promote their own coffee. Bakit? Because of lockdown and because of work at home na ginagawa ngayon, marami ang nag-home brewing. So marami yung nag-o-order ng kape from their house. So dito kami sa Coffee for Peace, we have regular clients na sinusuplayan monthly kasi alam namin na they are ordering coffee and they are brewing. And some of them are asking us, oh, can you teach us how to brew coffee? So we would demonstrate it for them. So there is an increase on home brewers, no? Especially sa mga millennials. So, how to reach those millennials? Those millennials, gusto nilang bumili ng kape, pero gusto rin nila na sana nakakatulong sila dun sa farmers when they buy coffee. Because this is the new mentality now. this is the question that people are asking. How much does the farmer get when they buy a cup of coffee? So, yung transparency, yung makikita nila na talagang nag improve yung farmers. And we're happy to say, sa Coffee for Peace, we always work our way out. Pag nag-train kami ng farmers, we work our way out so that this coffee community would be able to stand on their own. So, we didn't plan on staying there and being their boss, but we plan to exit so that they can do the business themselves. So we have several lineups of communities na ititrain namin, and we would want to see them putting just coffee in every cup. That these farmers are owning the vision, that these farmers are promoting local coffee, that these farmers are drinking their own coffee, that these farmers are improving their lives and putting their kids to a better education, eating 3 times a day. And that's what we wanted. Kumbaga, hindi lang si manufacturer ang umaangat, but also the farmers. So walang iwanan, everybody should be enjoying the blessing, enjoying the just coffee in every cup. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much po, Miss Joji, for sharing the realities in the ground, and of course your initiatives in helping the farmers through your social enterprise, Coffee for Peace. Just a short advisory that this session will be until 4:30, but we will understand if you leave earlier if you have prior commitment to do. Okay, now we will move to the moderated discussion. May I invite our speakers, Miss Ruth, Ka Arnold, and Miss Joji to answer some questions from our participants. Okay, I have one question here for Miss Ruth. There is a challenge earlier by Ka Arnold that farmers find it hard to fill out the forms, and then there is a current push from the different stakeholders to digitalize agriculture. So what would be the response of Nestle in pushing for the digitalization of agriculture in of course in relation to coffee? Miss Ruth, I think you are on mute po.
VJ? Yeah,
Were you able to hear po my question? Okay.
yeah, okay na. Uh, can you hear me now?
Yes po. Yes po.
Yeah, actually, si Yusek Laviña said that there is a unit in her group that can help. Now we will be referring farmers there. Pero kami, we teach also to the farmer business school how to
O-
answer the forms here.
Okay po. Thank you po. And there's another one question. With your role in the Philippine Coffee Industry Roadmap, what do we still need to do, especially the multi-stakeholders, to achieve the targets of the roadmap come 2022? Miss Ruth?
Yeah,
Yes po.
in the coffee roadmap, you can download it in the net. You will see po na marami mga pwede kayong salihan doon. So either sa pagtatanim, sa pagtuturo. So ang suggestion ko po talaga ay pumunta po kayo sa DA net, tapos tignan nyo po yung Philippine Coffee Roadmap. Tapos po, yun po, mababasa nyo po doon lahat at tignan po nyo kung saan po kayo pwede mag-participate. Tapos po noon, pwede naman po nyong i-contact ang Grow Asia. Tapos i-gather po ni Grow Asia lahat ng gusto mag-volunteer, and then we will look you up. So together we can work on the remaining years of the coffee roadmap. Pero sabi po ng DA ngayon, papahabain pa nila, mga 10 years yata
Mm-mm.
ang gagawin nilang roadmap.
Okay po.
So we have plenty of
Okay po.
time to help. Yeah.
Thank you so much for that, Miss Ruth. For Miss Joji, there is one question right here. The question is, how do you see the idea of a policy that provides incentives to those farmers that are pursuing digitalization? So do you have in Coffee for Peace a effort for digitalizing your enterprise? Yes. Po.
Right now, we have our web page that are that can sell online. So we have our program na ginagawa ngayon wherein part of what we will be teaching to our farmers would be the use of social media. And with the use of social media, we will be partnering them with the buyer. So what we're planning would be having all those data about the farmers that we are training and then matching them with a buyer who are looking for good, consistent, quality, clean coffee. Imamatch yon. So through the website, makita nila, and this is a dream na sana DA would be able to help in terms of geographical indication or information system wherein talagang pagka nilagay mo siya sa QR code, nandun na, makikita yung farm, makikita yung correct process of harvest, makikita anong kind of process that were applied sa kanilang post-harvest, anong kind of rows ang ginawa, anong elevation and all those things na sa QR code lang. So those are dreams na wino-work out namin as Coffee for Peace and the communities that we are working with right now. So of course, teaching first our farmer how to digitize their farm.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, VJ, thank you.
Sige po, Miss Ruth.
Yeah, actually si Miss Joji matagal nang nagtatrabaho sa background dyan pero marami na silang talagang naitulong sa farmers, especially yung mga IPs, no? So Joji, please continue to do the good work you're doing and hope to work with you soon. Dadagdagan ko lang yung kanina, sabi natin na yung ang ipapasok namin sa Coffee Roadmap, once na pinatawag na tayo ni Secretary Dar, ay dadagdagan natin ang training ng mga farmers. Kasi pagka ganon, katulad ng ginagawa nila Joji, hindi naman tayo lagi nakatabi sa kanila. Ngunit ang kailangan ay ituruan natin sila para sila ay katulad ni Mr. Arnold. Anong ginawa nila Mr. Arnold? Nakinig sila sa mga technician namin sa Nestle at saka sa mga agricultural officers ng DA na kapartner namin. Pagkatapos, ginalingan pa talaga niya, sinapuso niya yung mga natutunan niya nang ngayon siya ay naging coffee ambassador at pinapasa na niya sa kanyang mga kasama ang kanyang mga natutunan. So ito po talaga ang Coffee Roadmap ay hindi po siya isang dokumento, isa po siyang isang buhay na project na nandun po sa puso ng bawat isa sa atin. Tayo po ang laman ng Coffee Roadmap. Ngayon po siyempre pag nagpapalit po ng administrasyon, hindi nyo maaalis na yung mga priorities din may iba. Unang-una, malaki rin ang problema natin sa rice, di po ba? So kailangan po magtulong-tulong tayo na iparating sa ating mga pinuno sa gobyerno ano yung mga kailangan natin. At sa totoo lang po, hindi po sila madamot sa oras. Sabi nga po ni Yusek Laviña, nagte-text kami, pwede po silang kausapin ng diretso, bukas po ang kanilang mga pinto. At hindi ibig sabihin na lagi po kami nagkakasundo. Ngunit nagkakasundo po kami to work together, people like Joji, people like Grow Asia, people like DTI, people like DA. Nagkakaisa po kami na tulungan ipalaki ang bunga ng ating mga coffee trees to give the coffee farmer a livelihood that is going to be emulated by his children. At doon po ay hindi kami nagkakaiba. So sa ating mga partner, from DTI, from DA, private individuals with a good heart like Joji Pantoja, isang farmer na napakabusilak ang kanyang pagnanasa, na pati ang kanyang mga kasamang farmer ay umunlad katulad niya, si Arnold Abear, no? lahat po tayo, and Grow Asia of course, lahat po tayo ay nagtutulong-tulong. Huwag po tayong mawalan ng pag-asa. Kasi po, ang ikauunlad ng coffee industry ay nasa ating mga kamay at nasa ating mga puso kung hindi po tayo mawawalan ng lakas ng loob to do this.
Okay, thank you so much po, Miss Ruth. I think there is one question for Ka Arnold po. The question po ay, ano po yung masasabi niyo po sa pag sa dynamics ng coffee prices sa market? Nandiyan po ba si Ka Arnold?
Yes po. Yung
Yes
sa
po, ano
presyo,
po, sa presyo po.
yung pong sa presyohan po, napaka-unfair man po kung hindi ako honest kahit sa sarili ko. Kasi po, kinocompute namin yung production cost per kilo ng kape. Kung ibabatay po natin sa basic needs ng isang pamilya po na husband and wife, tapos may 2 o 3 anak, kung 1 hektarya lang po, kasi po base po sa research na kaya po i-handle ni farmer yung kanyang farm na matatawag natin na medyo angat po kaysa mga plant and forget na sistema ng pagsasaka, medyo kukulangin po talaga. Kaya medyo hindi naman po sobrang baba, pero kung maaari po sana itaas-taas din konti. Naintindihan ko naman po, kaya lang lalo na dito sa community namin, medyo mahirap po ipaliwanag. Kaya yun po ang challenge namin.
Sige po. Ano
Kahit
po?
sa akin po bilang
Sige po.
po.
Okay po. Can I hear from Miss Joji or Miss Ruth on your initiative po sa related sa pricing sa sinabi po ni Ka
It
Arnold?
Joji, ikaw muna.
Sige
it
po,
works
sige, Joji.
two-way, ano. So, sa buyer, of course, what they wanted is wag sobrang mahal para naman may konti pa silang tubuin. Pero sa farmer, syempre ang gusto nila mataas na presyo para mabuhay nila ang pamilya. Now, how do they meet? I would say if the farmers document the things that they are doing, yung processes, at nagka-calculate sila, malalaman nila ano ba yung right price for their coffee. Then they have an edge to their buyers para sabihin, ganito ang presyo ko kasi ganito ang ginawa kong pag-aalaga sa kape. I pick red, I float it para maalis yung mga immature beans. I process it, let's say dry process, honey process, or fully washed, depende sa aking clientele. Inalagaan ko yung pagbibilad ng kape so that it would not have molds. And I produce a jade color beans. And when you taste it, when you cup it, it would produce the taste profile that you wanted. If the farmer is like that, then you can command your price. Kasi yung buyer naman, matalino din sila, no? Hindi mo sila pwedeng bulahin. Sasabihin mo, bili mo tong kape ko, 450 pesos ang kilo. Pagtingin mo sa kape, okay, let me have your sample. Pagtignan ko, pag nakita kong okay siya, then yes, I will give you that 450 pesos per kilo. Dumating ang sample. Tinest namin. Ang daming black beans, ang daming borer. Would I pay 450? Hindi. So kailangan turuan ko si farmers, anong ginawa mo? Hindi ko pwedeng bayaran to ng premium price because what you're giving me is a commodity coffee. Basically, commodity coffee. When I roast this, sira ang lasa dahil sa black beans, sa dami ng black beans na nakita ko. So, it's either I will reduce the price or send back the coffee to you and resort it, then give it back to me ng maganda. So it work two ways. No, hindi lang po pwedeng ang responsibility is on the buyer. The responsibility should be on the farmer and on the buyer. And that's the only way we could help each other promote our country na maging maganda ang pangalan na, oh, product of the Philippines. Masarap yan,
Mm.
malinis yan, at hindi sila manloloko.
Mm.
Yun po.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, Miss
Yeah.
Ruth?
So VJ, yeah. Actually, mas maganda na yung combination ng isang specialty coffee buyer and advocate like Coffee for Peace and Nestle magsalita side by side. Kasi po, dalawang klaseng coffee, no? Dalawang klase yan. Una is tinatawag na specialty coffee, yung sinasabi ni Joji. At nakapanood po ako kung paano sila magtrabaho sa specialty coffee, yung coffee siya pero hinahanapan ng notes of durian, hinahanapan ng notes of chocolate. Grabe, no, ang ganda ng ginagawa nila for specialty coffee. On our part naman sa mga manufacturer, kami naman po ay bumibili nila ng quality of coffee for mass production, no? For Nescafe, etc. Ngayon nga po, nakita natin na dahil sa pandemya, maganda pong nangyari na nakabili po kami ng more than 20%. In fact, nearly 30% more. And you can imagine kung ilan tonelada po yon. Dahil po ang dami na pong nagkakape sa kanilang mga bahay-bahay at gumagawa pa ng mga iba-ibang concoctions, which is good. Ibig pong sabihin, maganda po yun sa industriya at ang mga tao ay napaka-creative sa pagtimpla ng kung ano-ano. Ibig sabihin talagang ang kape ay parte ng buhay ng Pinoy, no? So for now, malaki po ang consumption sa mga bahay-bahay. So yung bumibili po ng tinatawag nating mass production coffee na quality din naman, maganda po ang volumes ngayon. Ngayon, para po kay Arnold, unang-una, in behalf of the whole Nestle, nagpapasalamat ako sa iyo sa ginagawa mo na pagko-coffee ambassador sa mga kasama mo. Ito po ay hindi lamang gawa ng iyong trabaho, ngunit sinishare mo pa ito sa mga kasama mo. So, kapuri-puri ka kapatid, okay? So, hindi natin pwedeng paglaruan ang presyo ng kape. Yan ang maganda. Bakit? Kasi world traded siya. In fact, ngayon nga kung gusto natin, punta ka sa website, International Coffee Organization or yung mga tinatawag na Futures of London, kitang-kita mo. Kung ano yung in-offer sa'yo ngayon sa komunidad mo, yun din ang makikita mo. However, sa amin naman, kung kay Ma'am Joji is yung talagang specialty coffee, notes, etc., which is very good. Sa amin naman, paramihan ang binibili namin. Okay? So, baka naman meron kang 1 tonelada sa ilalim ng kama mo, ilabas mo na, benta mo na sa amin. Ano? But whether it is commercially produced coffee in bulk manufacturing o yung kay Miss Joji na specialty, isa lamang ang dapat mong gawin. Katulad ng sinabi ni Joji, pagandahin mo ang kape mo. Kasi kung marami siyang moldy, marami siyang lasa na lasang fertilizer or lasang gaso, lasang lupa, maraming immature beans, black beans, hindi rin maganda ang magiging bilihan whether sa presyohan, katulad ng specialty coffee, or whether sa maramihan, katulad ng manufacturer, lugi ka pa rin doon. Okay, so ang gawin mo, pagpatuloy mo ang ginagawa mo ngayon, ano pa? Tip, chismis na totoo, para maging mababa ang manufacturing cost mo kasi yung production cost nakakakain ng kita yan eh. Okay? So hopefully one sa akin si Joji, sundin mo ang good agricultural practices ng kape para maipababa mo ang production cost mo at yung kikitain mo sa pagbibenta mas malaki yung kita, yung pure na kita kaysa mapupunta lamang sa tapon o mapupunta lamang sa mga pamamaraan ng pagpapalaki ng kape na hindi makakatulong na paramihan siya. Hindi makakatulong na patagalin ang iyong halaman. Alam natin ang kape, pang matagalan yan, may forever yan. 50 years na, di ba? Oo. Matagal ka na rin nagkakape, tama? So, since wala tayong magagawa, parang ganito lang kuya Hindi natin magagalaw ang presyo ng langis. Hindi natin magagalaw ang presyo ng ginto, di ba? Gawin natin ang mga efficiencies natin. Para ng benta ka sa manufacturer o sa specialty coffee. At the end, panalo ka pa rin. At panalo ang mga titikim ng kape mo.
Okay po. Thank you so much, Miss Ruth. We can reserve that for our open forum. And thank you so much po for our speakers, Miss Ruth, Miss Joji, and Ka Arnold, and to our participants for making this session rich in discussion. And for our last For our last and definitely not the least, came from a country not in the Philippines, but in Vietnam. Nguyen is the Grow Asia representative in Vietnam, overseeing the partnerships for sustainable agriculture in Vietnam, or PISA. Basically, PISA is the counterpart of PPSA in Vietnam. Yu holds an economic master's degree from the Commercial University in Vietnam and a master's degree of policy and applied social research from Macquarie University in Sydney, Australia. Thank you so much, Yu, and mabuhay from the Philippines. Over to you.
Hi, Vizi.
Hi, you. Go
Yeah,
ahead, brother. Yeah.
yeah. When the partner to screen, kick it out, kick me out. So, hi everyone. My name is Hieu from Vietnam. Today, thank you, PPSA, have to give me opportunity to share the experience in the public and private partnership coffee model in Vietnam. So PSAV established in 10 years ago, and the coffee in the one of the leading working group in Vietnam. You can see in the first slide, um, the coffee in the pioneering working group. Next, please. Um, Coffee working group in Vietnam is chaired by the Department of Crop Plantation from the government as Nestle Vietnam. Currently, we have a more than 30 member and observe partner. So in our working group, working at the national level and field level, at the national, we focus much more on the PVP dialogue and especially support the policy development and national action plan for coffee and to have a deal with some many issue to exporting coffee. At the field level, we develop so many demo plots and PVP model to ensure the quality of the coffee. Next slide, please. And you can see that and the um, participant from the coffee. We have a public, we have a Ministry of Agriculture Coordination Board and the Department and Crop Plantation. From the private, we have the roaster buyer and partnership. We have so many the support from the international company. Next slide, please. PVP coffee value chain in Vietnam has been to design to be on the need of the own stakeholder. As you can see the slide, we have all of the stakeholder involved to support the coffee value chain. They are the input company, the producer, technical support, trader, roaster. In addition, we also involve the policy support from the government, certification organization from international, and other co-financing and finance organization. Next slide, please. At the national level, we mostly focus on sustainable development, especially we develop the national sustainable curriculum that's applied for 65,000 coffee farmers. In addition, we also to develop the action plan for rejuvenation and support the establishment of the Vietnam Coffee Coordination Board. At the national level, currently, we have a deal with many issues, especially to support the company to export, like deal with agrochemical issue with the importer tax and support them to traceability and update on the requirement from the importer. We have a quickly to next slide, please. You can see that one of important achievement from the coffee task force, we support to develop the Vietnam Coffee Coordinating Board. In the coordinating board, we have to the government and the private, they have an equal right to work and vote for each issue, especially to develop the policy and strategy for coffee sector. And both sides have the same equal and right. Especially we involve the representative of the coffee farmer from the key province to attend to make sure that the voice of the farmer happy to listen by the both government and the company. Next slide, please. In VCCB, Vietnam Coffee Coordinating Board, we focus on the owner thing. One of the important thing, we assisting to remove the VAT for enterprise. That's what the government do. And we develop the key action plan for coming year and to 2025 and vision to 2030. That is very special thing because in this the national plan we have spent a lot of the resource to road mapping all of the government resource and company resource to make sure that we have not overlap investment in the province and for the farmer, and to make sure that the farmer can get benefit from program, and to make sure that the coffee sector in Vietnam to develop sustainability. Next slide, please. In the coffee task force, we developed so many the activity, like we developed the demo plus, we capacity building, we set up the PPP cooperative. In the PPP cooperative, we invite the local authority from province and from the commune to attend and to join with the farmer to do and to make the decision for any important thing. We also do doing the technical tour and meeting and sharing among the partner. We also set up the PPP local coffee platform, especially to make the platform from the lower level, from commune level, and then we bring the voice to the higher level. For example, commune level to the provincial level and national level. In the field task force, we focus on three things. That is the water and pesticide fertilizer management. And currently, we focus much more on sustainable landscape to combine coffee with other intercropping plants. Next, please. Other field, we have a lot of achievement. We do more than 50 PPP demo plus, 12,000 farmers have a chain. However, until now, the coffee also to have to conduct the training on sustainable for nearly 60,000 coffee household. It means nearly 2 million farmers have been trained to buy the national curriculum. As a result, the 14 income grow and the coffee quality improve, and we see that and the reduction of 20% of fertilizer and pesticide. Especially, we focus on the carbon footprint reduction and using the reduce the water. Next slide, please. However, we have so many challenges when you implement the PPP at the field, especially the empower of the farmer, and the secondly, and when we intensive plantation, we have to dealing with environmentally friendly issue, also the sustainability problem. One more difficulty is the knowledge transfer. In Vietnam, farmers understand that when they get the training, they have a benefit from that. But currently, due to the pandemic, we have to conduct so many the virtual training, and we circulate all of the material by ear material for farmer on knowledge transfer. One more difficulty in the last year, we facing is the communication with the farmer and the fluctuation of the coffee price. So farmer in some province, they have a not to keep the coffee. So that's why the problem. Next slide, please. In the last slide, I would like to say that and to show that how Grow Asia and PSAV Secretariat to support the PPP model. Of course, we support to promoting and increasing the partnership. We bring more partner from international and domestic to involve to support the coffee model. We also to promoting coffee model by the connect and connect them with the investor and to showcase their issue. Also, we to have a lot of the planning to scaling up their successful model, especially in the water, fertilizer, and pesticide management to make sure that we have the same standard. In coming time, we also to develop the traceability and common code to support the coffee farmer to make sure that when the people drink coffee over the world, they know that that is Vietnamese coffee and where the plant and how they are planted and in where. The first and important thing that we support the collecting the and providing the production business information to share and connect public and private sector in coffee. So that's it on my presentation today. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for that, you for sharing with us the work that the Coffee Task Force is doing in Vietnam. And I think there is no question mark in the box, but maybe later in the open forum we will have by then. And I've already sent the or chat the email addresses where our participants can email us or contact us um, to push through for the collaborations. And also thank you for our speakers for your valuable insights and sharing. We hope to stay in touch and continue our discussions and hopefully collaboration. We would also would like to thank our participants for their questions and active participation today. And thank you also for staying in the session as it extended. And lastly, we would like to invite you to the succeeding webinars of this PPSA Working Groups Learning Series. Our schedules or the succeeding topics are flashed on the screen. Please anticipate the release of further webinar announcements.
Uh,
Again, thank you. Again, thank you
Vijay,
very much. Yes, Miss Ruth.
yeah, sorry. Before you say your last goodbyes, in behalf of our organization, which is the Coffee Working Group Lead, I would like to personally thank DA Undersecretary Evelyn Laviña for not only for attending this afternoon session, but also for holding the torch for the coffee industry all this time. We'd also like to thank Miss Joji Pantoja for holding the torch for her mentees and also for her brothers and sisters, IPs, for the great things she's been doing for coffee. Truly thankful for Sir Arnold Abear, a farmer who is really sharing his life and his learnings para sa coffee farmers. Maraming salamat, Bay. Salamat po na talagang nakapunta ka ngayon. Also thanking Croatia, also thanking our Vietnam partner as well. Maraming salamat po. And of course, all the attendees this afternoon. By you attending to this afternoon means you really care for the coffee industry and you really care for the coffee farmers. Maraming salamat po. Vijay?
Yes po. Thank you so much, Miss Ruth, for that. Our ever supportive coffee working group lead. Again, thank you very much, and we hope to see you all in our next webinar. Keep safe, everyone. Thank you po.
Thank you very much. Keep safe.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye,
Salamat po,
Joji.
Yusek and Miss
Thank you,
Joji.
Yusek. Thank
Thank
you,
you po.
Joji. Thank you. Thank you,
Thank
Thank
Mr. Abiar.
Thank
See
you,
you soon.
everybody.
Thank you, Pranav. Thank you,
Thanks,
VJ.
Miss
Thank
Ruth.
you, Ami. Good job, guys.
Thank you po.
Thank you so much, you.